border, my property, that your hand would be with me and that you would keep me from evil so that it does not hurt me and so that I do not hurt others. And God granted his request, right? And I want to, I was reading that in Amplified, but I'm going to switch back to the New King James, right? The New King James Version. Um, but I want you to really see how this act of faith, right? This act of faith of him just speaking out, it changes, it catapults, it sets something up. And I need you to know that when you get to the place where you're ready to stretch out, it takes just one act of faith. So long you have limited yourself, so long you have uh, uh, um, shot yourself down and you've talked yourself out of, and for so long you've been just content with the status quo. For so long you have just held back and you have reserved and you've said, I, I, you've come up with every reason, every excuse why not, why you shouldn't. But let me just help you. Right? Let me just encourage you. If you could just get into the place where you say, you know what, I'm gonna do it. This week, this month, this year, I'm going to do it. That one act of faith. Again, I started sharing with you all on yesterday about Peter. And I shared with you all that Peter, the one act that it took for Peter to be catapulted into the place that he knew he should be in, which was right there walking the place. I say he knew he should be the place he imagined he could be. Let's start there, because it started with his imagination. Was that one act of faith of, Lord, if it's you, then allow me to come out onto the water. And what happened? The Lord said, hey, come on. Peter first imagined, hey, if he's doing it, then I ought to be able to do it too. If he says that I can do it, then I know that I can. So let me just do it. That one act of faith, right, has Peter in the record book, if you will, of only the two people to ever walk on water, right? Without any theatrics or any special effects or any of that, you know? Just that one act of faith just it takes just one step, one act of faith. And here's the thing, in the old church, they used to say, if you take one step, God will take two. And here's the thing that I recognize. Here's the thing that I realize, right? Is that one act of faith. God told Abraham, or Abram at the time, get thee from around thy kindred, and I'll take you to a place that I'll show you, and I'll make you the father of many nations, right? That one act of faith of Abram stepping out, stepping away, and doing what it is that he was called or told to do. The one act of faith, God told Noah, build an ark. Noah had never seen an ark. He said, Noah, it's going to rain. Noah had never seen rain. And God just gave him the vision, and he said, okay, you know. And again, I make it sound so simple, but I understand and I realize that there was some struggle in all of it. And you say, well, how do you realize and know that there was struggle? Because even when we go back and look at Abram didn't completely instantly separate. What did he do? He had his nephew Lot with him. When we go back and we look at it, there are so many different folks who, yeah, they struggled. He said, I'll make you the father of many nations. He hadn't had a child, he nor his wife. So they went ahead and they tried to do things in their own strength and in their own way. It's not that it was easy for them, but there was a calling on their life. And when you have that calling on your life, you can only ignore it. You can only go past it for so long, because at some point you're going to have to begin to walk in obedience. And when you walk in that obedience, then great things can happen. And that one act of faith, thank you, Holy Spirit, that one act of faith is just your obedience. And all you have to do is just take that first step. All you have to do is just say, all right, Lord, you showed me this vision. Yes, Lord. And that's all it takes is yes, right? You've just got to, I promise you, like I said, the old church used to say, if you'll take one step, God will make two. And I need somebody to grasp hold of this. God is waiting on your yes. So right now we're in First Chronicles, chapter 4. I want us to go to Second Chronicles. All right, let us look at Second Chronicles, chapter 6, I believe it is. Um, and when you go to Second Chronicles chapter 6, he says, the eyes of the Lord go to and fro throughout the earth, seeking whom he can show himself strong to, right? The eyes of the Lord go to and fro throughout the whole earth, looking or searching for whom he can show himself strong to. Now, with such being the case, here's where I want you to know and what I need you to understand. If God is looking for somebody to show himself strong to, the one thing then that it takes, the one thing that it's missing, the one thing that is necessary, if you will, for God to pick you, it's not for some prophet to come into your town and you to go, follow after him and him to speak a word. No, because see what happens is, see, God speaks to you first. And then out of the mouth of two or three witnesses, the word of God says it is confirmed. So most of the times when the prophet comes, he's not speaking something new, but it's something that God has already spoken to you. You receive that and you say, man, that's confirmation. That lines up with something that I've been thinking. That lines up with something that I've been feeling. And so now, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. You know, a prophet may come and may activate, or and what I mean by activate is he may say, God's showing me that now is the time, right? But it's something that you've already known, a vision you've already had, and he's activating you, right? So I need you to know and to understand the only thing that's missing is your obedience. That act of faith that God's looking for is your obedience. He's given you the vision, right? For some of us, we've had a vision for 15, 20, 30 years, and we've even went as far as to write the vision, but we hadn't done a single thing with it. It's just been sitting, and we've been like, oh, well, I've got this going on right now. I've got that going on. And then, we got, the child, and we got the this, and we got the that. And oh, I won't, you know, no. If God's given you the vision, you've written it down. The next thing is begin to, and this is why, see, I've learned something. I've learned something over the years, and I want to share it with you all. This is why it's so important that every now and then for your life you have a vision board. A place and you put this board. It doesn't do you no good if you put the vision board on the spot behind your door, right? And you always have your door open, so you'll never see it because it's out of sight and it's out of mind. But I need to encourage you today to set up a vision board, put it in a place where you're going to see it and begin to think on that thing, begin to see, and when you look at it, say, all right, yeah, this is going to happen. It's going to manifest. You see, when you write the vision, you make it plain. The first person that ought to ever run with any vision that God gives you ought to be you. Small scale, large scale, however, you may not do the full scope of the vision, but at least the first person ought to be you. Once it's you, you have that vision, you see it, you're reading it, you're running with it, then it can grow, it can multiply. God had a vision in his mind. He spoke, he said, let there be, right? And there became, and it was, and it still is till this day. God has given us the same power. We've been made in his likeness and in his image with his spirit attached to us or within us, right? So then the same power he has, we've got a bit of that in us. So I can write down a vision. I can have a vision. I can make it plain. I can speak a thing. And I want to encourage you, begin to speak the things that you want to see. Begin to speak those things. Now that we've went through this whole talk about faith and getting rid of fear, and we've talked about stretching out, and we've talked about, increasing our faith, all of that. Now I want to encourage you to step out and do it, to launch into the deep. I want to encourage you. Don't sit back any longer. Don't hold back any longer. The world is waiting for the thing that God has placed on the inside of you. And let me just encourage you. I need to close, but I need to encourage you because here's the thing I recognized because it happened to me. I wrote my first book, and I know what God showed me about this book. I wrote it as professional. Had a professional editor and everything, right? The design, the cover, all of it, beautiful. It is shelf quality ready, right? And I know what God showed me about the books that I would write, but I haven't seen that happen yet. But that's why I love Habakkuk 2:2. It said, though the vision tarry, wait for it shall come to pass, and it shall not lie. For it is yet for an appointed time, right? So you've written your vision, you've made it plain, you've read it, you've run with it, and now you've just sometimes you when you do that thing, don't get upset, frustrated, don't give up, and don't give in when what you see doesn't happen instantly. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for it all to catch up in reality. God showed you what it would be, what could be, what should be, what will be, right? And sometimes it just takes time for the manifestation of it. You do your part, and the manifestation comes. Again, it's just like when the prophet was praying, and the angel came instantly with the answer. But he got held up along the way. The enemy had been sent to frustrate the way. And the prophet had been praying and praying and praying. And then finally the angel came through and he said, listen, when you first prayed, God gave me what you needed and I was on my way. But the devil came and fought against me and I had to call in reinforcements. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time for what happened already in the spiritual to connect and to manifest in the natural. But that don't let that stop you, deter you, or keep you from doing what it is that God has called and set for you to do. All right? All right, friends. All right. I want to encourage somebody. Step on out. Step on out. All right? So I want to play this song for you. It is by Shekinah Glory. And it is simply entitled Yes. All right. Shekinah Glory. Yes. I want to play that for you right here, right now on I Am Encouraged Radio. Here on your community minded station, 93.5 KPPM. And I Am Encouraged Radio. All right. So here it is. This is, Shekinah Glory with Yes.